I'm Still Here, which is the new film from Walter Salles, Brazilian filmmaker, kind of cornerstone of the Brazilian rebirth period that came after 1995. His directorial CV includes Central Station, Motorcycle Diaries, the remake of Dark Water, On the Road. I'm Still Here is based on a 2015 memoir by Marcelo Rubens Paiva. This has been adapted by the screenwriters Murilo Hauser and Heitor Larrego. The BBFC description is 15 for strong threat. And I thought that was a really interesting description. This film has been nominated Best Picture and Best International Feature, which is something of a rarity, and Best Actress at the Oscars. The last of those, the Best Actress nomination, is for Fernanda Torres, who is brilliant. She plays Eunice Paiva, who is a mother and activist. And essentially, what the drama is about is the way in which she copes with her father being taken from her during the military dictatorship in Brazil. Because of the subject matter, when the film came out in Brazil, it was boycotted by the Brazilian far right, who said, it wasn't a dictatorship. Boycott failed miserably. Film went to number one, is topped the charts, currently became the highest grossing Brazilian film since the pandemic. So well done to the far right. So it opens in 1970 with former Congressman Rubens Paiva, now back in Rio de Janeiro, having been in exile, self-imposed exile, for 6 years following the coup in 1964. He quietly supports expats, but he keeps his work to himself for the safety of his family. So he just appears to be getting on living a normal life. And then one day, the military, the police, the government turn up at his door. I'm going to play you a clip which is in the original language, but just so you understand what's happening. They basically turn up at his door. They tell him that he needs to be taken away for a deposition. He says it's a mistake. They say, no, it's not a mistake. He says, okay, I need to get some clothes. Then his wife says, what are you doing? They say, we're taking him away. Is there anyone else in the house? She says, well, just my kids. You don't need to be armed. So here's the clip.
Seu Rubens, tem uns homens aqui.
O que aconteceu?
Deputado Rubens Paiva?
Deve ter um engano, não sou deputado há anos.
Não tem engano nenhum não, o senhor vem com a gente.
Pra onde?
Prestar depoimento, é coisa de rotina.
Depoimento do que, Rubens?
Eu só preciso me trocar.
Claro. Acompanha o doutor? Tem mais alguém em casa?
Não sou meus filhos pequenos. Mas sim, não tem necessidade de arma.
So they arrest him. They take him away. Nothing else is heard. They then respond to any inquiries about where is he and what's happened by arresting his wife, by questioning his daughter, all without ever giving any explanation about why the initial arrest happened and what's happened subsequently. So the film, as the BBFC description said, contains strong threat, 15 for strong threat. It is really powerful, really gripping, and it moves between these two registers of, on the one hand, quiet, loving, friendly domesticity, and on the other hand, oppressive political horror. And it moves back and forth between these two registers brilliantly. And I think that what it does is it creates the sense that these two things are living side by side, that you can have a society in which apparently normal life is going on, but at the same time, a kind of murderous, corrupt regime is wreaking havoc. And yet, when you walk the streets, there are still families talking to each other and people enjoying life. Now, the film it's 138 minutes long, which by today's standards isn't particularly long. It got a 10-minute standing ovation at Venice. I know that film festival ovations are always a weird one, but this was absolutely, completely deserved. Fernanda Torres is magnificent. She is absolutely magnificent in the central role as somebody who is sort of moved into activism by the search for what has happened to her husband after they took him away. But it never becomes histrionic. It never becomes anything other than human. She is, a wife, a mother, a fully rounded character. It's not just a sort of a political cipher. There is also an appearance at the end of the film by Fernanda Torres' mother, Fernanda Montenegro, who has a brief cameo as her in later life. She was, I think I'm right in saying she was the first Brazilian actress to be nominated for a Best Actress Oscar, I think, for Central Station. And so there's this kind of extraordinary moment in the film in which it really feels like what you are watching is generationally important. There's a score by Warren Ellis. You know, I'm a huge fan of Warren Ellis. He's worked with Nick Cave. They did the soundtrack for things like the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, and also Warren has done soundtracks on his own, like Mustang. But this is one of his very best works. I think it's one of the films of the year. I mean, for many people, it would have been one of the films of last year because obviously it opened for Oscar consideration and in America and it was, last year. But it's brilliant. It's so gripping. The story it tells is, and also the story it tells is really contemporary because although it's a historical story, as I said, it has at its heart this idea of the appearance of normality going on whilst this completely corrupt regime is essentially wreaking havoc. And yet it's possible to not see it unless you delve beneath the surface. And to do so is very, very dangerous. So it's called I'm Still Here. It has a brilliant central performance. It has a great score. It's wonderfully directed by Walter Salles. I would recommend everybody go and see it.